Good evening everyone, myself Piyush Kumar and welcome to Momentum IAS. So the first stage of the UPSC examination is done. After the prelims or the first stage of the UPSC examination, normally the aspirants are a bit worried about their answers. This ambiguity is like always there. Every year it happens. So there's nothing new in this. So we have just tried to come up with the answers of certain sections, and I'm here to discuss the questions related to history. There are 16 questions of history which have been asked, and there's no doubt that these are purely from history only. And we'll just try to analyze the questions. We'll try to come up with the final solution or the last, or let's say most authentic solution of these questions. So we will just try to see the questions one by one, and we'll try to have a brief discussion over them. I won't stretch it along because the answer is most important for you right now, and that's why we'll just try to reach to the answer as soon as possible instead of giving a detailed discussion on this. This is not a test series, and that's why the answer is more important here, and that's why I'll just try to discuss this part. But before I land to that particular page where I have to discuss about the answers, I would like to share with Sir the analysis or the distribution of the questions, because if you'll see the distribution of the questions, at least you'll get some idea that okay, these kind of papers or these kind of areas were covered in the paper. So we'll start from there and then we'll go to the paper, right? So if we'll see the distribution of the paper, distribution of the questions, in that case you can see that most of the questions have been asked from medieval. That's something in this is basically a new trend, because if you'll see the questions of previous years, in that case you can you must notice one thing, that medieval the questions from medieval were being asked earlier also, but the number of questions was slightly less. But the way you find the number of medieval questions have been increased, and see 44% questions have been asked from medieval, so roughly 7 questions were there from medieval. On the other hand, if you see the ancient, so 31% questions were from ancient, so 5 questions were from ancient, and on the other hand from modern part only 25% questions or 4 questions have been asked from modern India. Now art and culture, which is considered to be a very important segment, so far like it's missing this time, it's totally absent. Not even a single question has been asked from art and culture. Now you may consider some portions from art and culture, but I think these are purely falling in history, and that's why I have kept them in the category of history. So there is no as such question which could be kept not in history, only in art and culture. Like these kind of questions are not there. So this is a pattern, and I'll just come and I'll try to discuss towards the end about the towards the analysis, or I'll just try to discuss about the nature of the questions, right? So this is the distribution of the questions. Now let's come and discuss the paper first. So when it comes to the first question is that Yoga Vasist was translated into Persian by Nizamuddin Panipati during the reign of. So there are 4 options: Akbar, Humayun, Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb. Now during the period of Akbar, now it is not only it was not only restricted to the period of Akbar. The translation of Indian text, Sanskrit text into Persian has remained a perpetual phenomena, perpetual phenomena, specifically after the coming of Muslims into India. Now coming of Muslims into India is a very subjective thing, so I'm not getting into that dimension, but even in 7th and 8th century also we'll find the translation of the books, specifically the books on Indian philosophy, into several languages that included Arabic and Persian also. In the initial period, it was mostly in the Arabic, but later on, after the establishment of the Sultanate and Mughal, you will find that most of the times it was translated into Persian. So Yoga Vasist, which is a very important text with respect to Yoga Vasist, is a very important text with respect to again the philosophy, the religious philosophy, and this was translated by the person called as Nizamuddin Panipati during the reign of Akbar. Akbar was also very interested in the cultural developments, and that's why he was always ready to patronize these kind of translation activities or the cultural activities, and that's how you see that Nizamuddin Panipati, under Akbar translated this book into Persian, right? So this is the right answer. Next question. The world's second tallest statue in sitting pose of Ramanuja was inaugurated by Prime Minister of India at Hyderabad recently. Which one of the following statement correctly represents the teachings of Ramanuja. Now, they have already given you the reference that why this question has been asked. Like I always used to say that art and culture or history is also something which is sometimes related to current affairs also. So whenever you see such kind of news, I repeatedly tell you that this is really becoming important for you. So if it has happened, in that case Ramanuja was already important for you. Now, if we look for the answer of this question, in that case I can say that it's very simple, there's no much confusion. But there are two statements I'll say. The best means of salvation was devotion. The salvation was to be obtained through meditation. These two terms are a bit confusing, but I think there is no confusion. The answer is A. The reason, I hope if you have studied Ramanujacharya, in that case you all must be knowing that there was a conflict between Ramanujacharya and Shankaracharya. At one hand, Shankaracharya was promoting this Vedic knowledge. On the other hand, Ramanujacharya was trying to bridge the gap between the lower classes and the upper classes, or the lower caste and the upper caste, and that's how he always considered bhakti as one of the best means to for getting salvation, and that's how his philosophy is known as unique non-dualism, because it was the blend of these two. So the answer will be the best means of salvation was devotion. Okay, moving to the next question. Again, it is related to current, and they have already given you the reference. The Prime Minister recently inaugurated the new circuit house near Somnath Temple at Veraval. Which of the following statement are correct regarding Somnath Temple? Somnath Temple is one of the Jyotirling shrines. That's correct statement. It's a correct statement. Then it comes to a description of Somnath Temple was given by Al-Biruni. Yeah, this is also true, because Al-Biruni is giving so much description of this particular temple, and in fact when it comes to the sources for this particular temple, it's very confusing, and they are very less also. And for knowing about this temple, we even rely on Al-Biruni. So this particular statement is also correct. Now the third, the Pran Pratishtha of Somnath Temple, installation of the present day temple, was done by President S. Radhakrishnan. This is wrong. This was not done by Radhakrishnan, but it was done by Rajendra Prasad. So this is the reason because of what this third statement is wrong. So first two are right. So 1 and 2 is the correct answer. So A is the correct answer. Okay, moving to the next question. Now, with reference to Indian history, consider the following pairs. The pairs are Aryadev. Aryadev was basically a Buddhist scholar. So, it's basically about historical persons and non-for, right? So, Aryadev was a Buddhist scholar, and Aryadev is considered to be a disciple of Nagarjuna. Nagarjuna, as you do know, that he was Nagarjuna was basically a philosopher, Buddhist philosopher, and Nagarjuna is known for Madhyamika philosophy, and Aryadev was also promoting the same sort of philosophy, right? So as I told you that he was a disciple of Nagarjuna, and that's the reason because of what he promoted the same philosophy. So he was a Buddhist scholar. Of course, this name is not very famous, but yeah, the other names were quite popular, right? So basically it comes to Dignang. Now, Dignang is Buddhist philosophy. Sorry, this statement is wrong. So I have marked. Aryadev, as I told you, that he is a Buddhist philosopher, right? So this statement is wrong. Then it comes to Dignang. Now, Dignang again is a Buddhist philosopher, and Dignang is known for basically he was the founder, one of the Buddhist founders of Indian logic. So he was again the Buddhist philosopher. Sorry. So this is correct statement. Then it comes to third, Nath Muni. Nath Muni was basically the Vaishnava scholar. So this is correct. So he was a Vaishnava scholar. The reason Nath Muni was one of the popular Bhakti saints, and he was, as I told you, that he was one of the promoters of the Vaishnava philosophy or the Vaishnava school, and that's how the two pairs are correct. Two pairs are correct. This one and this one. So the answer will be C. So the right answer is C. Okay, moving to the next question. With reference to Indian history, consider the following statement. Now, this is again a question from medieval India. It's a very simple question from political history. But yeah, mostly when you have been studying about the political history, you have been avoiding these kind of things, and now they have asked even the question from this part also. So this is regarding the Mongol invasion. The first Mongol invasion of India happened during the reign of Jalaluddin Khilji. This is incorrect, because if you have studied the history, medieval Indian history, I won't say that you need to study very deep the medieval Indian history. You have studied in a very normal way the medieval Indian history. You have just covered a basic source of medieval Indian history, even though you must be knowing that Iltutmish was the first ruler who faced the Mongol invasion. But unfortunately, what is happening when he was attacking, when he attacked on India, by that time, Iltutmish was quite cautious, and that's why somehow he avoided that by not giving shelter to Jalaluddin Mangbarni, and that's how he avoided it. So the first Mongol invasion of India happened during the reign of Jalaluddin Khilji. Now this is incorrect. Sorry, this statement is incorrect. The second, during the reign of Alauddin Khilji, the Mongol assault marched up to Delhi and besieged the city. This is correct. During the period of Alauddin Khilji, there were so many Mongol invasions which took place, and Mongols were always looking for the right opportunity to control Delhi, and that's why the moment they got information that the Sultan is not present in Delhi, they preferred to come to Delhi and besiege it. And in fact, Sultan was engaged in Deccan region, and he was trying to conquer the Deccan region. This information reached to the Mongols, and that's how they attacked on Delhi and they besieged it. Though their invasion got failed by Alauddin Khilji, because before this, before they could have reached to Delhi, even this information reached to Alauddin Khilji, and that's why he also marched towards Delhi, and that's how he successfully failed this. So this is correct statement. Then third is the Muhammad bin Tughlaq temporarily lost portions of northwest of his kingdom to Mongols. This is incorrect. Why it's incorrect? Again, if you have gone for the story of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, you all must be knowing one fact, that Muhammad bin Tughlaq was the only ruler from Delhi Sultanate who really tried to change the previous policy towards the Mongol. So instead of putting efforts for failing the Mongol invasion, he just tried to encroach in their areas, that he could really make his northwestern part very safe and secure. And that's how he entered into some of the parts of Central Asia in order to prove that he is very powerful, and the Mongols could not have any chance to invade India, and that's how this is incorrect. So he somehow secured the state, secured India perfectly against the Mongols, and that's the reason because of what this particular statement is considered to be wrong. So only 2 is the right answer. So yeah, only 2 is the right answer. Okay, next question. Consider the following: the sites of Ashoka's major rock edicts, location in the state of. That's a very simple question, and the question has asked some of the rock edicts of Ashoka at one side. On the other hand, they have asked the location, and they have been asking you to find the correct pairs. So Dhauli, Dhauli is located in Odisha. That's correct. Then it comes to Eragudi. That's located in Andhra Pradesh. This is also correct. Then it comes to Jaugarh, and it's asking Madhya Pradesh. No, Jaugarh is not in Madhya Pradesh. It is there in Odisha only. Now Dhauli and Jaugarh, these two are known as the separate rock edicts, the separate major rock edicts. And in fact, certain messages are different, like last 2 messages are different because of it's called as separate rock edicts. So Dhauli and Jaugarh, these are 2. And as I told you that it's not there in Madhya Pradesh, so that's wrong. The 4th one is Kalsi. Now Kalsi is also not in Karnataka. Kalsi is in Uttarakhand, right? So that's how we can say the first and second, only 2 pairs are correct. So B will be the right answer. Okay, moving to the next question. Consider the following pairs. Now, Nanuka is basically the king and dynasty. Now, Nanuka is definitely the Chandela ruler, and yes, he was there in 9th century, and he was considered to be the founder of the Chandela dynasty. The Chandela dynasty, which is there somewhere in UP and MP region, right? Basically, this Bundelkhand region was under the control of Chandelas. So he is the founder of one of the very popular Rajput dynasty. Then it comes to Jaya Sakti. Now Jaya Sakti is also the ruler of Chandela dynasty only, and he was coming, he was the later ruler. So this is wrong. This statement is wrong. Then it comes to Nagabhat II. I think Nagabhat II as compared to Jayasakti is more popular, and since he was part of the tripartite struggle, and that's why he's very popular. So Nagabhat is definitely the ruler of Gurjar Pratihara, and you always study about Nagabhat. And then it comes to the fourth one, Bhoj. So Bhoj was not from Rashtrakota dynasty, rather the Bhoj was from Parmar dynasty. So he was there from Parmar dynasty, so that's also wrong. So it's a Raja Bhoj, it's a very his name is very popular. So first two pairs are right, so Nanuka and Nagabhatta, these two pairs are right, and that's why B is the right answer. Okay, moving to the next question. Which one of the following statement about the Sangam literature in ancient South India is correct? Sangam poems are devoid of any reference of material culture. Undoubtedly, this particular statement is wrong. The reason because of what this statement is wrong, because Sangam literature is falling in the category of secular literature. Sangam literature is not like the Vedas, which is only dealing with the religious literature. It has dealt with the religion, but just as one aspect of the society. It has never tried to give the maximum preference to religion as such, and that's the reason because of what, if it's not dealing with the spiritual life or the spiritual sort of things, or the religion, in that case is dealing with the material culture. So many aspects of material cultures have been discussed here, such as the Tinai concept, the eco zones in South India, then whatever the forms of economy prevailing there, what kind of life, the material life people had been living there, the life of the rulers, and many other things. So I think it's primarily dealing with the material culture. It has even discussed about the trade and commerce and all, and that's the reason because of what this particular statement is definitely wrong. Next, the social classification of Varna was known to Sangam poets. This is again incorrect. Why am I saying it is incorrect? Because social classification or the social classification was very much discussed in Sangam literature. If you'll see the Sangam literature, in that case there are several segments which are dealing with some sort of classification or the stratification in the society, such as the Tamil poems are very concerned or conscious about the high-born and the low-born people. Apart from this, we can discuss about Tolakka PM as one of the texts. Tolakka PM is dealing with the four castes. That's not like the North Indian society. It's different, such as the Brahmins, the kings, right, the traders and the farmers are included. So Brahmin, kings, traders and farmers, these are four castes which have been discussed. But the point is that the social classification was not unknown to the South Indian society during the Sangam age, but it was very much known, and thus this is of course this is the wrong statement. So you are getting or reaching to the correct answer after this statement only. And then the rest are Sangam poems have no preference to warrior ethics. This is again wrong. Why it is wrong? Because Sangam literature, the hero cult was very popular in South India. And since it was very popular in South India, and that's the reason because of what it's quite quite impossible that it does not be, it was not dealing with the warrior like ethics. Of course, it has given great emphasis on the heroes. In fact, the way that Sangam literature has been divided in two parts, Aham and Puram. And Aham is related to love. On the other hand, the Puram is related to the warriors, the wars and such kind of things. And that's how the heroes were very much respected in South Indian society. And that's how you'll find much discussion about them. In fact, there is a, the goal of the hero of the Puram poems was Pukal. Pukal means that they had been trying to emphasize on the glory and the fame of the people, and those those soldiers, those who had been dying in the battlefield, they are always considered to be highly. They were always considered to be highly respected. So that's how we cannot say that this is this was not present. So this is missing. Then Sangam literature refers to magical forces as irrational. Now this is again wrong. Why this is wrong? Because in Sangam literature you will find several such sections which are dealing with this kind of magical powers. So basically Ananku is one, Ananku is a phenomenon of sacred power, and that's widely discussed. That has been widely discussed here, and there are several references of this you can find here. So basically we can say this B is the right answer and rest all are wrong. Let's move to the next question. With reference to Indian history, who of the following was known as Kuladaran? Now this is a question from medieval terminology. So Kuladaran was a term which has been used for Sayyids. Yes, I can accept that this is not a very popular term, and if you have really entered deep into this, then only you must be knowing about it. So basically this has been used for the Sayyids. Basically there is a division in the Muslim society, and that's known as Sayyid and Sunni, there is a division in the society, and in fact the Sayyids are considered to be slightly upper caste, right? So since they were related directly to the Prophet Sahab, and that's why they always considered themselves to be higher in this particular hierarchy. So the Sayyids used to wear a cap, that's a kind of triangular cap, that's known as Kula. And the Kula Daran, the people, those who have been holding this, and they are known as Kula Daran. So it was used for the Sayyids. As I told you that they have always considered themselves as very significant or the important section of the society, and that's how they have been using this term. Okay. Next question. With reference to the Indian history, consider the following statement. The Dutch established their factories, warehouse on the east coast on lands granted to them by Gajapati rulers. This is incorrect, because the Gajapati rulers, I think 540 AD was the last, 1540 was the last period of the Gajapati rulers. And it was the 1540, the Gajapati kingdom came to an end, and it was followed by another kingdom called as Boi kingdom or the Boi dynasty. So that's the reason because of what this statement seems to be quite incorrect. Then it comes to the second statement. Alfonso the Albuquerque captured Goa from the Bijapur statement. This is a very simple statement. This is, you all know that 1510 Goa has been taken away from Bijapur. So this is a correct statement. The next one, the English East India Company established factory at Madras on a plot of land leased from a representative of the Vijayanagar Empire. Yes, this is true statement. The 1610, of course, you can make the correlation also. And one of the Naika was ruling in this particular place. In fact, he was holding the administration, or he was maintaining the administration in this particular, in this particular place. So he was called as Venkatdari, right? So he was called as Damalla Venkatdari. So he was one of the Naikas of Vijayanagar, and he was holding power in this particular region, and that's how it's correct that one of the plot land release representative of the Vijayanagar Empire. So Naika system was very popular in the Vijayanagar Empire. So that's how we can say that one of the administrators or one of the representative of Vijayanagar Empire ultimately gave the land on lease to the company, and that's how they started this. So the 1 and 3 are correct. So sorry, 2 and 3 are correct. So B is the correct answer. Let's move to the next question. According to Kautilya's Arthashastra, which of the following are correct? This is a very tricky question. A person could be slave as a result of a judicial punishment. This is true. This is true that a person could be slave as a result of judicial punishment. So this was very common in Arthashastra, during the Mauryan Empire. If a female slave bore her master's son, she was legally free. Yes, this is true. If you'll read the Arthasastra's English translation, in that case you can find, it's not necessary, I'm not asking you to read the English translation of Arthashastra. I'm simply saying it is mentioned there. So if you'll refer any of the translations of Arthashastra, you can find this statement has been given directly as it is. If a son born to a female slave was fathered by the master, the son was entitled to the legal status of the master's son. Yes, this is also correct. And again, this is referred clearly in Arthashastra. Now, this question seems to be quite tricky, but I must tell you that if you'll refer the NIOS material, in that case, you'll find that this is clearly mentioned over there, that all the 3 statements are given. All the 3 statements are there. So, it's quite clear that, of course, the answer has been given wrong. Actually, it's not A, is the D is the correct answer, because all 1, 2, 3 statements are correct, and that's why D is the right answer. Again, I'm so sorry for the inconvenience, but it happened by mistake. As I told you that yes, all the 3 statements are correct. A person could be slave as a result of judicial punishment. It's a correct statement. If a female slave bore her master's son, she was legally free. This is again correct statement. And as I told you that these kind of statements have been directly written in Arthashastra. As third statement, if a son born to a female slave was fathered by her master, the son was entitled to the legal status of the master's son. This is again correct statement. So all the three statements are correct. So the right answer is A. This is incorrect, right? So this is the correct answer. So sorry for the inconvenience. It happened by mistake. Let's move to the next question. With reference to the proposals of the Cripps mission, consider the following statement. Okay, Cripps mission coming on 1942 and it's giving some recommendations. The question is based on this. The Constituent Assembly would have members nominated by the provincial assemblies as well as the princely states. Now they have just played with the words only. Yes, the statement seems to be correct. There is a minor fault. The Constituent Assembly would have members like they were elected by the provincial assemblies, right? They were elected by the provincial assemblies and nominated by the princely states. There is a minor fault. So I think it is all about reading the questions. If you have been reading it properly, you won't commit any mistake. It's a very simple statement, I think. The second statement, so this statement is wrong. The second statement, any province which is not prepared to accept the new constitution would have the right to sign a separate agreement with the with Britain regarding its future status. This is a correct statement, and you all know that this statement is considered to be the base of India's partition, because here onwards many sections of India or the portions of India started thinking in this way, that if they are not ready to be part of that India, in that case they do have all the rights to remain free from this particular condition. So this statement is correct. So only 2 is the right answer. So B is the right answer. Moving to the next question. With reference to Indian history, consider the following text. Now, Neti Pakarana, Parisishta Parvan, Avadana Sataka, and Trisasti Lakshana Mahapurana. Now, these are 4 texts, and the question is asking which one of the above are Jaina texts. Now, this question seems to be slightly tough for you, but by applying some logic also you could have done it correct. So basically you can find Neti Prakaran. It's a popular text related to Buddhism, right? It's a popular text related to Buddhism. So it is not the correct one. Then Parisishta Parvan, right? This is written by Hemchand, and I think if you have been reading even the NCERT also, you can find that, find the reference of this particular book. Then it comes to Avadana Satak. Now Avdan, this is correct, Avdan Satak. Now Avadhan is a term which is very commonly used in Buddhism. And since it is very commonly used in Buddhism, so you can go for this, this guess that this is related to Buddhism. So this is again incorrect. Then it comes to next one. So Trisasti Lakshanam Mahapurana. Now if you have read something about the Jaina literature, in that case you all must be knowing that this word is mostly used in Jainism. And Trisasti, this is mostly used in Jainism. So 2 and 4 are correct. So the answer will be B. Okay, let's move to the next question. In the Government of India Act 1919, the functions of the provincial government were divided into reserved and transferred subjects. Which one of the following were treated as reserved subject? Now you all know that 1919 Act is a landmark event in Indian history, modern Indian history basically. The reason because of what it's very remarkable, because here the colonial government has promised, or they just claim that they are going to bring the responsible government in the provinces. And it was after the various things which were happening, about this Swadeshi movement, and after the Swadeshi movement, about the revolutionary movements which were going on. First World War was also going on, and that's the reason because of what they needed to promise something to Indians. They needed to show something to Indians in concrete that they could get the support of the Indians, and that's how, from 1917 onwards, they had been promising that they'll come up with some sort of concrete solution of Indian problems. So they came up with the 1919 Government of India Act, and in this particular Government of India Act, they claim that they have given free hand to the Indians in the provinces. but they have divided the subjects into two categories, reserved and transferred. And now the reserves were of course reserved with the governor, and the transferred were basically those portfolios or the subjects which were transferred to the Indians. But very smartly they have kept all the important, all the important departments with them only. The departments which were related to revenue, the department which were related to security, and only the departments which were having certain, which were having certain duties, certain responsibilities were transferred to Indians. So it was of course a kind of very biased behavior by them. Now just see the subjects. So administration of justice, that was were treated as a reserve subject. Administration of justice, like it was treated as a reserve subjects. Sorry. Just a second. Yes, it was treated as a reserve subject. Local self-government. Local self-government, as you all can see, that this is nothing but a responsibility. It is purely a responsibility, whereas they needed to make sure that the local development, and that's a local self-government, was not included here. Land revenue, police. It's quite logically it could be understood. Like if you know the funda of this, you will be able to mark the correct answer. So 1, 3 and 4 is the correct answer of this particular question. Okay, let's move to the next question. Again, in medieval India, the term funum referred to. Now, there are two terms which have been asked this time from medieval. So, a term funum has been asked. So, basically the term has referred the coins. It's a coin used during the medieval era, specifically in the Travancore region. And this particular coin, which is mostly the gold and silver coin, that was somehow around 1/8 of rupees, and that remained in use till Indian independence. So that's the reason this question has been asked. So I think it's a very genuine question. Okay, moving to the next question. Consider the following freedom fighters: Barindra Kumar Ghosh, Jogesh Chandra Chatterjee, and Ras Bihari Bose. Who of the above were actively associated with the Ghadar party? Now, Ghadar party is a popular revolutionary party which got formed in USA, United States of America, and of course for a couple of years it remained very active. So Ghadar party is a very popular event. Now the question is, who all were associated with this? Now when it comes to Barindra Kumar Ghosh was a person, revolutionary again, and he was associated with Anusilan Samiti, one of the revolutionary parties from Bengal he was associated with. Now and he was also associated with the conspiracy case, one of the conspiracy case, right? Jogesh Chand Chatterjee. Now Jogesh Chand Chatterjee, again a revolutionary associated with Anusilan Samiti, and then he was also associated, Jogesh Chandra Chatterjee was also associated with HRA. In fact, he is considered to be one of the founder members of HRA, but yes, he has nothing to do with the Ghadar party as such, so this is also wrong. Ras Bihari Bose. Yes, Ras Bihari Bose had some role to play. In fact, he was invited, and then he worked a lot for motivating people, and that's how Ras Bihari Bose has played very significant role. So only 3 is the correct answer. So D is the right answer for this question. Okay, that's all. So we're done with the questions. So these were the 16 questions. I have already told you the distribution of the questions, right? Now I would like to talk a few words for the people, those who have been preparing, those who have already attempted. I hope you must have done very good in this particular segment, because there were certain questions which were tough or tricky, I do accept. But there are many questions which were quite simple, and in fact I believe that your performance in this particular segment must be very good. But I would like to say something for all those who have been preparing and planning to give the attempt next year. I must say that after seeing this, at least it is a kind of hint to you. Now, the thing that I told you, that when it comes to history segment, now the medieval is gradually becoming very important. Of course, in last 1 year, there was great amount of controversies regarding medieval India, and in fact, still it is going on. So when you see that so many controversies are going on regarding medieval India, in that case, it becomes your responsibility to cover this particular portion in a beautiful way. So I keep on saying continuously that now you cannot ignore the ancient and medieval. The way I told you that 7 questions from medieval, 6 questions from ancient, and then 4 questions the 4 questions from modern part, that clearly shows you that you can't ignore the ancient and medieval. Again, I'm saying you that it's not necessary that this is the trend which is going to be followed in future. But at least one trend I can definitely say, that the questions from art and culture hasn't remained that much significant anymore. So instead of giving much time to art and culture, because I have seen the experience that they have been dedicating much time to art and culture segment, and art and culture segment, like they have been reading some very popular books and bulky books, the collection of facts, and of course it's going to consume your energy, your time, resources, everything, and you won't be getting proper result. So I think I have seen many smart students, they are avoiding the art and culture. So you need to focus, but you need to somehow collect some basic information on art and culture. So if any normal question is coming from art and culture, so you'll be able to, let's say, mark the correct answer. But you don't need to give great emphasis on art and culture. Instead of emphasizing a lot on art and culture, it's better to give more preference to ancient and medieval, because if ancient and medieval, the way the number of questions are increasing from ancient and medieval, that's really going to help you. So this is the suggestion for the people, those who have been preparing or trying to take the attempt in 2020 to 2023. So that's the only suggestion I'll give you. So again, as I told you, that there is nothing as such that this is the trend which is going to be followed forever. So that's all about the discussion. As I told you, that I have just tried to make the answers very accurate or the perfect, and I hope it is definitely going to help you. So best of luck, and I wish that you all get the chance to write the mains this year. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.